of what happened.
Suzanne, I expect this will not be the last that we hear of this issue, especially when you're talking about $2 billion a day worth of potential economic impact.
Exactly, Mark. We're still going to hear about sick leave. It's the second important question from rail workers, one that actually led to this rail strike in the first place. So rail workers asked for 7 days, but the Senate voted it down yesterday, including only 1 day of sick leave for workers. So even though the trains will keep running next week, leaders of at least 4 major unions say the new labor deal still falls short here. But here's what the deal includes: a $16,000 immediate payout with an increase in wages and benefits to $160,000, a 24% pay raise for 4 years, and then $5,000 performance bonuses. Maintaining access to health care plans is an additional one, and then another day of paid personal leave. Now, this agreement has actually brought up the debate on paid sick leave. We learned that 33 million civilian U.S. workers don't have paid sick leave currently. And more states, counties, and cities we have seen recently, in recent years, that is, pushing for this benefit. And we do know that Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is believing that this will be an ongoing discussion about workers in every sector to get the support that they need. Karen, Mark.
You know what? All right. I've already said my piece to you guys separately. This isn't the resolution that I would have pushed for, but seeing that video where it outlines some of the things that they're getting. Now, first of all, a little bit of context. These are the things that were negotiated before they got to the point where it fell off the cliff. So those concessions were already won. Okay.
Yeah.
The sticking point, to my understanding, was that sick leave part. And so I don't know. I would be interested to find out from the unions if they are also, because see, the story is never fully told, if they are also opposing the hiring of more people. See, because sometimes what you'll find is, all right, I'm not giving you, I want to hire more people, right? But the way I want to hire them is, let's just say maybe contractors. So I have my staff, and then I have these contractors who are, on demand, right? And the labor force, though, is like, nah, because now you're diluting my skill set. So I don't want you bringing in people who are not union members. Like, if you're going to have more people, they got to be union members, which is handcuffing the company, right? So then I would imagine that's probably part of the back and forth piece. And then since labor is like, nah, you're not going to bring in people who are not going to swell our ranks and make you stronger, we're going to oppose that. And then the company's like, well, then I'm not giving you extra days off, because if you would just let me hire more people, you'd have the days off that you want. You know what I'm saying? So there's always so much more to these things than what we get in a soundbite or an article,
Is it important to call it a sick day rather than a paid time off day?
It can. It depends on your company or your state, maybe, but definitely your company. So like some companies will have your paid time off, which accumulates. And then you have your sick days, which are assigned, right? So in that particular case, your company could say, hey, we're going to increase your paid time off maximum to 3 weeks, right? But now anytime you get sick, you have to use your paid time off. Like, I think at my company, we don't separate. It's just one bucket, right? And you can use it however, you want to use it. And a lot of companies are like that. But then there are still some who would say you got 2 weeks off, and then you got something like 5 days or something. Of sick time.
Yeah, my company has PTO and 5 days of sick time. It's two separate things. Now, to be absolutely clear, Anna, you have to remember the time frame of the 5-day sick leave when it came in, and that was because of the pandemic. So in order to stop people from having to use their PTO if they caught COVID, they implemented the 5-day sick leave. And you can use that to recover from COVID. With that said, that also means that leaves the windows open to remove that. So it wasn't out of the kindness of their heart they decided to split the two. There was a reason why they gave 5 days of sick leave.
Well, I mean, businesses always do things for a reason. I don't know why people seem to think that businesses are supposed to be charities. You know what I'm saying? It's not how they run. But you still should do better by your
one big happy family. Then
well, ain't nobody said. Well, the ones who say family, they bullshitting. You know what I'm saying? Don't come to me talking about we're a family. No, we're not. No, we're not. We could be friends. We could.
No, we can't even be there.
But we ain't.
Hey,
No.
Susan.
Hey, Susan.
Hello.
But I don't know. It has been my experience that more often than not, people who are so hard on a particular stance, they have no understanding of how to run an actual business. But the other side of it is these people who are running a business are just criminally immoral. Like I kind of touched on it in my video response to Marlon today. They literally will push down their labor costs. Like, to me, on a job, labor is an asset, right? And when you have an asset, you invest in it, you protect it, you want to see it develop and build more value, right?
Yes.
But you don't allow the asset to overtake the overall company because a company has multiple assets, okay?
Okay.
But with the way business runs is labor is a expense. So they treat labor as something I need to reduce, something I need to maximize, right? And that is a severe problem because when you look at labor as an expense, you no longer value it, right? An asset is something you want to grow, and expense is something you want to reduce. It's a big ideology and belief system.
Oh.
So that's where I think a lot of the breakdown comes from. But
I'm sorry. Anything that I say coming out of my mouth right now is going to be personal. So
Yeah, I'm just
sorry.
hey, I'm always up for it. But
I'm gonna take the fifth on it. I can say so much. I'm just like, nah, it ain't even worth it.
I'm taking the fifth until I can bring my temperature down. Cause Diaz is 100% correct in probably everything that he's saying, but at my level right now, all I hear is Charlie Brown's teacher. Because it's like I just don't.
I'm fighting. Just like you fought for that 15. No, see, I said I wasn't gonna say nothing. I said I wasn't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna breathe.
I'm just
I'm
not.
Well, that takes me back to my thought exercise because I'm gonna keep poking the bear.
I'm gonna breathe
because you just kind of in a way invoked, Biden's response. What would have been yours as president? What would have been your response?
They deserve more days off than 4 6 days. They were only asking for 4. That was it. 4 sick days. And the real companies are going to say no. There's a reason that 4 out of 12 of those unions accepted that agreement. 4 out of 12.
Yeah. Yes.
4 out of 12.
Not my point. But
My response, I've been like, no, I'm not going to sign this piece of crap. I'll send it back until y'all get me what I want, which is at least 2 weeks of paid sick time. Congress gets what? 165.
Congress don't even go to work.
See, this is what kills me. This is one of the things, and it's been said hundreds of times. It ain't gonna change, but I'm gonna repeat it anyway. It is amazing to me that a group of individuals who don't want universal health care or whatever you want to title it, better health care in the company, this group of people who's voting no, we can't afford it,
Got it.
has it for the rest of their
And their
life
spouse.
paid
By
by
taxpayers. It's
Now,
socialism for you, but not
it's
for
the
me.
same- This
Absolutely.
is the same thing right here.
You got to
We
keep
don't
you guys
wanna
working
give
so I can
this
have these
group of
benefits.
people-
What's wrong with you?
We don't want to give these group of people sick
4
leave. As I got a
days.
job that pays sick leave for a limited amount.
I don't even have to show up to vote, and I still get to keep my job. What? Nah, I'd have rejected. I'm like, nope, I'm vetoing it. Y'all send
Y'all
me back
moving the
something.
goalposts.
Don't care.
'Cause
You
we
asked
live
me
in
what
a-
I would do.
We live in America. So that means that private industry is not subject to the dictates of the U.S. government outside of established law. So unless you are advocating
I'm with
for the
Susan.
government just sporadically taking over companies,
You asked me what I would do. I would send that mess back and tell them to give them people more work with sick time than 4 days. That's ridiculous.
okay. And in the meantime, what happens to the economy?
You better figure it out.
You're the president. You got to figure it out. What happens to the economy in the meantime?
They can still keep working while negotiations are going on.
They're not. That's why it's a strike. So what happens to the economy?
The railways stop, things stop getting delivered,
Everything
and
comes
people
through.
get mad.
And die. So
And other people don't get their medicine. Yeah, like me, who
See, that's why they keep getting away with this stuff.
that is why they keep getting away
That's
with it.
that,
Yeah.
that's what makes me mad.
They are literally extorting
They're
the
extorting.
United States
That's
government.
exactly what they're doing.
That's what they're doing.
hell yeah.
Them,
Yeah.
this time it's the rail, right? Last time it was the banking industry. In a few months, it's going to be the automobile industry or the
Again.
lenders yet again,
Yeah.
right? It's all an extortion game.
When are the
These
American
who
people going to
make
get a
so much
bailout?
money,
That's what I
Huh?
want to know. When are the American people going to get a bailout? We done bailed
Because
out the banks.
the
We
American
done bailed
people
out the
don't have money
railroad
to move.
station. When we going to get the bailout?
because most of the American people, because they're so distracted. We are so distracted fighting each other over color, identity, sexuality, religion, who's more poor than who. We're so busy fighting all those fights that we can't do nothing to them. Only thing we have is our vote. And so what do they mess with the most? Our vote. Because they got to take away one of the last things that keeps you from getting in the way of wealthy landowners, business owners, and their votes, which actually matter. That's the game, folks. But instead, we're busy like fighting these side things. It's like that's why they get away with it. If you have
what did that lady say? The hardest vote that people can make is voting for their best interest.
Yep.
They will always.
Let me go
vote.
here and
This
go.
is what we said
Vote
yesterday.
literally against what I say and vote for this guy.
Yeah, this
I'm
is what we
scared the
said
other guy get
yesterday.
in.
This is what we were saying yesterday when we was like, I lost my train of thought like that. Go on, Tracy.
Y'all know I'm in the general strike camp. I am. I just am. I'm gonna be on Phil Davidson. Phil Davidson. Drastic times call for drastic measures, but you don't strike all at once.
You stop quoting that idiot.
All right.
But they do call for drastic measures.
So I like with the comments that are coming through, right? So I'm with you. Like I'm one of those people who is actually pro, revolution if you're ready. But y'all ain't ready. So let's
We
just
got to
be real.
get ready. I
Exactly.
agree.
Yep.
That's the point. You got to get ready. That's what I
you gotta
talk
get
to.
ready.
Like when I'm talking to black voters who are talking about why I don't vote and this, that, and the third, and let the country burn or whatnot. And I'm like, look, for real, I would be okay with revolution if you were ready for it, but we're not. We're not. If they shut down the grocery stores, people die. If the hospital shut down, people die. If the electrical system goes down, people die. You not ready for this. So because we're not ready for that horrible outcome, which you still don't know is on the other side of it, all right? Because what's life in Ukraine going to be like after the war is over? Still going to be messed up. It's going to be worse than it's ever been for them. How do we know? Look at Libya. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Iraq, right? After the war, they've destroyed your entire infrastructure. That's what would happen here with you just letting things fall to prove a point. What is proving a point? You did nothing, right? So you say, okay, fine, they'll figure it out. Keep the government out of it. Let the owners suffer. How much suffering do you really think is going to take to hit these owners? These owners are worth billions. So
the owners are not going to touch anything. Everything that we're complaining about that's going to happen to this country. You're not getting your medicine. You're not getting your food.
Yeah,
you're not
that's
getting your formula. Everything
again,
else.
that's the part that makes me so
Those
mad.
millionaires are not going to feel none of that. They're not going to. They're not going to
see these rich
medicine.
people.
I guarantee you, they're going to get their medicine. They're not going to get their formula for their baby. I guarantee you, they're going to get their formula for their babies.
Yes, they will leave the country and get whatever they need, right? Or they'll have special stockpiles that'll be prearranged for them because they own the warehouses. So
the billionaires will be prepared for the strike.
Yeah, we need to get prepared. I agree with.
That's where my point is. Like, I'm not against labor. I'm all for labor. But what I'm saying is, what you know, like, it doesn't take a huge amount of energy or intellect to know some of the things that will follow this action. So that means think of those things and try your best to prepare for those things, then go in motion, right? So if ultimately what we would say is, now personally, my solution, which I've said a couple times, is I think the U.S. government, since these train companies have decided that they're going to push the cost of taking care of their employees off on us, and because they're going to use us as leverage so that they can get more concessions out of their workers and continue to abuse their workers, while at the same time telling the government, you work for me now, do what I say. You want to do that? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your rail. Every rail line in this country will no longer be under the ownership of these private companies. The U.S. government can confiscate that if it chose to. All them rails come back to us. Now you pay us to use the rails that your trains have to run on. Now, you still can make your money. You can do what you want to do, and we're going to help take care of your employees. We're going to make them semi-government employees. So now they get pensions and all the wonderful things.
More than 4 days off of work.
Yeah, we'll give them everything they want. Now, here's what's going to happen, though. Once we do that, it's going to completely break your union. So that means your union is going to fight tooth and nail to keep that from happening, even though it's the best thing for its employees.
Because, again, people fight their own best interests.
The interest is my kids in private school, and I need them to go to school. I'm the union boss. I got bills to pay. I can't just let you just take the union.
Is it even possible to have a revolution? It is, but again, you got to be organized. You got to be extremely organized.
I think it's the absolute worst thing that America could ever run into, because if you ever had a hot revolution in the current age, see, people like to look at revolutions like what happens in third world countries or what happened in the past.
Russia, or
we're not gonna go all that way. We're gonna just do a little bit, then we're gonna stop.
So if we were to go into a hot revolution, we got more guns than we got people, right? But those guns are in a very few hands. Like, one joker got 50 guns. Okay, it ain't like we all got a gun.
He ain't your friend.
Right? So you got all that stuff going on. It would destroy the infrastructure of America. But before it even got that far, this is what would truly break America. America's strength is its credit worthiness. So if you break the credit worthiness of America, which is what a lot of our foreign adversaries are trying to do, you ain't got to worry about it. We'll take care of the rest ourselves. We'll be killing each other, hurting each other all day long, everywhere. And we wouldn't be able to recover from it. So a revolution is really not what America's best interest is. But because we have lazy politicians and even lazier citizens, unfortunately, if we don't do something,
revolutionary in this country right now is on the same equivalent as a civil war.
I can barely hear you, my brother.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I was saying was yelling out revolutionary is the equivalent, and this is my opinion because I know I'm going to get pushed back on it. But revolutionary in this country is the equivalent of the Civil War. pretty little slogan, really scary. You ain't gonna do it because for you to do it, everybody in your circle is really expecting you to do it, and maybe they'll join, maybe they not. Chances are they're not, but maybe they'll join and maybe they're not. But they need you to start it. They're not going to start it.
That, and people aren't thinking this thing through at all. Our government is not the best government.
We like to think we are.
But we have one of the most stable governments on the planet.
Yep.
So
that's why they can get
if there was enough unrest that the U.S. government had to marshal its forces domestically, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Nope.
America would never be the same again. You will have dictators and you will have oligarchs and all the worst things that you've seen in these countries with warlords and all that. That's what would happen, because you wouldn't come back to, oh, we had a revolution that lasted 2 years and weren't those some dark times? Now turn to your iPad. No. it would be a horrible
well, would it?
Yeah.
Germany go through the exact same thing?
No.
And they're one of those.
Germany went through it. When did Germany go through it? In the 50s. So
no, in the 80s. East and West Germany. Yes. And go.
No, that wasn't the same thing. World War II is what tore Germany apart.
Yeah, World War
forced
II
them to go through
a
rebuild.
Yeah.
What you're referencing is when the blockade fell.
Yes.
And East and West came together, but there was no war. That wasn't a war. That was, they took down the wall, and the two people in the two sides of Germany could finally interact again. And they had some little issues, but there were no real things like that. But World War II is what broke Germany. And if you kind of look at the the lifetimes of these major countries over time, or civilizations over time, America's a baby.
Yeah.
So America has to go through a major readjustment at some point. It has to happen, right? You do not get to stay on top forever. That's why countries like China and Russia sit here and look at America like, really?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, we're just too lazy to do stuff. I mean, we just are. We just are sometimes.
I'm not even say lazy. I just
think we don't want everybody thinks about them, include me. Thinks about
1960s, I would say, Parker, maybe.
Maybe the 60s,
the 50s and 60s,
maybe
into
the 30s.
the 70s.
Yeah, from the 20s to the 60s, but after the 60s, it went. Everybody just got government jobs.
But Tracy, I don't think the country is lazy. I think, like I said, this country has the emotional and mindset of a TikTok video that we just get over stuff so quick, and we move on to the next.
We're spoiled.
We have a race in Georgia, literally between two candidates. One,
it's neck and neck.
It's neck. Why is it neck and neck? This race shouldn't even be.
Because they've already told you that. Because
this race shouldn't have even went to a runoff in the first place.
Because it's red versus blue.
Yep.
And the difference between red versus blue is red is always motivated to go vote. Blue has to be proven why we should bother. And so, here you go. Plus, blue is notorious for thinking somebody else is going to do it for them, which is like Marlon was just saying.
Yeah,
blue
somebody
is notorious for being like,
yeah, Tracy, you go protest, but I need you to come with me. Nah, I can't, because see, I got to get my nails done and do the good knees challenge and see. No.
God, I forgot about the good knees challenge. Also, what you think about all the progressive messaging we often hear from people like Bernie when he's running for president? When he calls it a political revolution, do you think that is useful?
No.
I think it is useful, and here's my reason why.
At all.
I think it's useful the same way that defund the police is useful. the slogans in and
It's a
of
slogan that
themselves,
grabs you. Yeah.
yeah, the slogans in and of themselves are problematic. However, if you try to have a more toned down slogan, it just gets ignored. Like
Yep.
you could have
You gotta
said,
say something radical.
yeah, because it's like it was defund the police, which made everybody pay attention, right? Even though
What?
literally defund the police is a dumb stance, but what it stood for is very intelligent. Then you could have went instead with reform the police. We've been hearing that for 40 years.
Yeah, I'm like, how long have we heard that
No.
message and it ain't worked?
Right? So political revolution, that takes the idealism of youth, because Bernie was focused mainly on that 18 to 45, right? And that's that window of age where people are more, they look backwards at revolutionaries of old and idealize themselves as being something like that, self-included, right? So that's why he used that term. It could be more helpful if there was building blocks behind it. But what happened? Bernie, he shut the hell up, right? We ain't heard much from him. Now, I'm not blaming him for being quiet. The man been fighting for 50 years. So
He died.
take a break, bro. But it's still a matter of the infrastructure that we were touching on a moment ago is not there. We're not raising young people up to be knowledgeable and be committed to being a part of that change. We have a lot of passion that's doing it, but we don't have education with it. So we got to get some more infrastructure.
Or we could do like Jim Clyburn says and stop sloganeering.
Well, no one's listening to old Jim except for
Everybody.
major media.
Yeah, major media listens to him. I don't know why, but they listen to him.
Because you notice every time there's a something of somewhat merit happens, that's when Jim shows up. He's never on the front end of anything.
Oh no, I told y'all he's done.
No, I'm not even saying like he's done. I'm saying like
no. What I say he's done is he's back in the 60s.
Yeah, I did my work in the 60s.
I've done my job.
Yep, I'm finished. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was saying from the
not like he's
standpoint
done,
of,
like he ain't never coming back. No, that not what.
he's an opportunist and he's a parasite now, because he never is on the front end of anything.
Nope, he's too busy
Never.
having environmentalists arrested. Let me
It
shut
was the
up.
last minute of the election, and then he says, "Go with Biden." It was as the progressives were losing their flame. I'm a progressive too. Everything is at the.
No.
I'm the biggest progressive.
He's the biggest progressive.
Right.
I'm the biggest progressive.
So it's like every time he
Then-
shows up, it's like, dude,
Cussed the man out at his barbecue when he asked him a simple question about reparations that was literally a very good question. I've been fighting for years. I
well,
can't
that's
tell.
really good. But you know what's funny though? And this is all conjecture. I do not know. But it is not coincidental to me that all of the septuagenarian and octogenarian leadership of the Democratic Party is working together to step down in unison.
Which is
Like
what they should have did years ago.
I mean, we could say that all day long, but what I'm saying right now is where we are. So I don't think it's coincidental that they're doing it together. Like, it's like all the seniors are graduating together, right? So maybe, even though their messaging hasn't adjusted to reflect this, but some of that energy you guys have been calling on from the progressives and the young Democrats and all of that, they're not getting leadership. But what they are doing is they are making it so uncomfortable that some of these people are saying, you know what? I'm tired of all this. You think you can do it better? Then you do it better. I'm going to step back and I'll advise if you need me to, but I'm out of leadership. That right there, if that's the case, that's proof that the progressives and the young Democrats who aren't progressives, but they're young Democrats, that's a proof that they're starting to have some impact.
Have you seen